I'm just going to summarize what I did to get third-party high-power mode working on my Ford Transit 2020 chassis. It's covered on page 77 of the body and equipment mounting manual. Right here, there's a bunch of warnings, and you can go read those yourself. I'll link to this document in the comments. Specifically on my Transit, I connected using the method outlined here. I'm using the 10-way vehicle interface connector under the driver's seat. This is an up-close picture of the harness that you'll be attaching to. If we look back inside the connection manual for the Ford Transit, you see that pin 3 is the SRC inhibit. I can tell you it's not very clear in this manual, but that's effectively the same thing as third-party high-powered mode. The document states that all you need to do is ground this. I can tell you that I was not having a ton of luck by grounding it to the chassis, but I immediately was successful once I started grounding it to pin 1. So this is a breakout of that connection harness. I purchased this pre-wired pigtail off of Amazon. You could easily make one of these heads and it'd be really, really cheap. I didn't want to wait for all this stuff to get here to do that, so I just bought this pre-made one. It's a little expensive for what it is, but it did arrive and I was able to just plug it in and use the wires. I purchased a cheap set of buttons off of Amazon. You don't have to do this. You can buy anything that will connect two wires together. Essentially, all we're going to do is connect pin 3 to pin 1. You can do that however you want. I ended up whipping up a quick button housing that I could just tape to the back of my seat. After 3D printing it, it looks something like this. I end up only using 2 of these wires that connect the third and first pin. I'm just going to show this again. If you get the pigtail, regardless of how you choose to do it, all you're really doing is connecting this pin and pin 1. So pin 3 and pin 1. I ended up putting connectors on the end of my switch just to make this easier to pop on and off. I also put some connectors on the end of that pigtail, and then I wrapped the rest of that pigtail down here in the side. So basically, you can see I marked the pin 1 and pin 3. I ran it back here through the back. I hooked up the button. I then put the rest of the wires of the pigtail down here kind of untouched, out of the way. Ultimately, this is what my switch ended up looking like. The rest of this wiring is some stuff I haven't finished up for my gray tank dump. This just runs right through here and goes to that pigtail on the inside. I'll run a quick test and show you what the charging profile changes to when this is enabled. Quick test before we put all this back together. You can see I've got a multimeter hooked up to the battery to test the voltage, and I've got my new switch here. And if I turn the switch on, give it a second, it takes up to 5 seconds, but the Transit speeds up the engine a little bit and cranks up the voltage